Talmoana Exiles, Talkative Try here with Sylver XYZ with our massive predictions for the biggest Path of Exile live stream ever from Grinding Gear Games. First of all, it's early morning. Sylver, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, mate. I'm doing great. I'm excited, like everyone else. We are just stalling until we get to the big reveals. We've been waiting for what feels like forever. Obviously, for many of us, it's been years, and now for some reason, it feels even further away than it's ever been, even though it's around the corner. So, yeah, very excited. Excited to throw some wild thoughts out there and see what you think.
Yeah, you're 100% right. We are stalling. This is pure bait content right now. We are only 4 days away from the big reveal, if you count today. And we have been waiting 5 years. Like you said, November 2019 was the reveal, but really ever since 3.0 released in 2018, was it? People have been waiting for 4.0, and this is what 4.0 has transformed into for Path of Exile 1. Cannot wait for it. We each have 3 big predictions. We said we're gonna go spicy with them. We'll see how spicy they actually are. And because I am a gentleman, Sylver, I would like you to begin with your first prediction.
All right, gentlemen, you are. Okay, so first off, I think I'll start with, I've got a list here, and I'm just gonna go off what feels right. Okay, first off, I'm gonna go with Hideouts 2.0 and the map device. Okay, so what do I mean by that? What I think is that Settlers was a test for how Hideouts might function and work inside PoE 2. And I think we're essentially going to get to build our own King's March. Now, what does this mean in practice? Like, what does that actually mean? Well, I think the first thing is we're going to have multiple ways of investing in different stations or individuals, like Nico for Delve, or, you know, like the different kind of NPCs that relate to the different content we get in the game. You're going to be able to invest, spend gold, and upgrade these parts of your hideout that will then function as a sort of hybrid of the Atlas passive tree. So you're going to gain some quality of life things from investing in these parts of your hideout. And then I'm going to go on to the map device, and this is the sort of really out there thing. I think we are going to get a return of the map device, but it won't be there at the beginning. So we are going to have to build our own map device through the early phase of the end game, and how we build it will essentially be the points that we're allocating into the Atlas passive tree. So as we go through the different maps, we'll gain like knowledge or some kind of like parts or something for the device. And we're learning, maybe following in Zana's footsteps, or trying to like rediscover what happened to Zana, where she'd been, and we're refiguring out how to build the map device. And so mechanically, as we rebuild this thing, we're getting to go, actually, I want to spec more into Beyond. And so you're adding this little like tweak to the map device, and that's how we kind of get our asset Atlas passive tree back. There we go.
Silverman, you obviously cooked here. That sounds absolutely incredible. I didn't even think that King's March could just be endgame 2, but wherein you're building your own endgame with a King's March hideout style system, where the Atlas passive skill tree becomes like the master system. It's like an integration of the old master system with the Atlas passive skill tree, putting faces to all the different parts of PoE 2's Atlas passive skill tree. That's genius, and that's something that a lot of people probably will just attach themselves to absent-mindedly, like say, oh my goodness, yeah, I love going into the Einhar stuff. I love expanding on that story and those passives and everything. I think that's a genius idea. I think that could be possible, most definitely. I actually came up with an endgame one too, surprisingly, because of course we know that we're getting the endgame reveal. So my first prediction is that the map device is no more. Ooh. There is no Atlas in Path of Exile 2. Yeah, I know I'm crazy.
No 6 portal defense.
no 6 portals, just 1. Okay, this is what happens. There is no Atlas. Instead, Endgame will be an in-world activity like Expedition, where instead of traveling to an imaginary world, these dreamlike realities with the Atlas, you are literally boating yourself to various places across Rayclast and beyond, slowly charting the entire world. Okay? This isn't just, okay, you're sticking to Rayclast and going to these same little places. No, you are going further and further south, because I think the end game, the initial end game, could end with us going as far south as south goes, which for lore nerds out there, you know where Innocence went after Path of Exile 1? He went as far south as south could go. He imposed exile upon himself. I wonder if the end game will kind of involve like charting the world and end with a pinnacle encounter against a revamped Innocence or something like that. I think that would just be so cool, especially because the Templars, or their renewed order, seem to be the baddies in Path of Exile 2 again, with the Countess and Lumerius. It would be interesting if the end game was a hunt for Innocence, and all the maps were real locations on the world. But I like your idea of building out whatever the Atlas passive skill tree is, or whatever it's going to be called, the Island passive skill tree.
Yeah.
Using our hideout. That's genius, because I think that will exist in the game.
Yeah, okay, so I love that, because as you're saying that, I remember thinking like something kind of along those lines a while ago, all the way back in 2019 when we got that weird clip at the end of the trailer, the initial PoE2 trailer, and it was just a shot of a boat. And obviously now we know that in Act 4 you go across the Karui Islands and this sort of archipelago, and I think for many of us we just thought, oh, that was just an early asset thrown in as like a fun thing. But maybe early on, but even back then they decided, right, we want to ground the game again. We know they don't want to go big deities and gods and stuff early on. So I think there's a lot of potential credit to what you're saying there, and that idea of exploring the world. Maybe it is Innocence, and people are talking about the hooded one and like who that might be, but also maybe we're trying to find Zana. I love that. I'm hooked on this idea of Zana. Maybe we're traveling the world to try and sort of hunt her down, because obviously she was, from a child, she was very sick of the Atlas and, well, I suppose like the whole sort of situation there of her dad. So I don't know. Yeah, very, very interesting, man.
I think there's a lot of evidence building up to this, because Path of Exile 2, I don't think it will launch its endgame without some sort of story as well. Like Path of Exile 1's endgame started with maps. And the main story writer, his name escapes me right now, but during EXILECON 2023, when he spoke to Kitten Cat Noodle, he said, oh yeah, the Eldritch story, that's kind of contained to Path of Exile 1. I don't see the Atlas coming without the Eldritch story. They're just going to drop all these pivotal characters like the Cleansing Fire and whoever the Elder's Master is and all that in Path of Exile 2. I think that's going to stay to Path of Exile 1. But can they really introduce the Atlas without those characters? I really don't think so. I think they need those hand in hand, unless they completely just want to reshape what the Atlas is and turn it into something else, which again muddies the waters between Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2 information. Because if you're talking about, Atlas bosses from PoE 2, it's going to be like so different and confusing if you're also remembering PoE 1 stuff. I just think they have to make them distinct. I also have a crackpot theory, and this isn't one of my predictions, that we will see no repeat Ascendancy classes in Path of Exile 2. They're all going to be different than PoE 1. That is my new crazy idea. Probably not true, but I'm just going to say it as if it could be true.
So this kind of goes on to then, I think, like probably one of the things I want to talk about, my next sort of point or prediction is, obviously I have a lot of content on my channel about ascendancies and ascendancy design. I've been speculating a lot about what we could get, and I have included returning ascendancies in those designs. However, that's just a name change and an artwork change, and all of a sudden you've got a new thing, right? You can have similar kind of vibes and stuff. And I think, to your point, it makes sense to try and separate the games, because if someone's saying, hey, I'm playing, like a Slayer, and then they're like, what, a PoE 1 Slayer? Or, it just helps to separate the brand and stuff, right? So I think, okay, a couple of things. the first thing is in 2019 we got these duo nodes, right? This, an example they were showing off for I think it was the Beastmaster, and they were showing like, okay, you can pick this option or this option, right? And, trio nodes, like, as well, right? And so I think we're going to be very surprised. I don't know what it's going to be, of course, but my prediction is I think they're going to surprise us with the ways in which the Ascendancy trees are different. And that comes from maybe duo nodes, trio nodes. That could come from maybe we have 30 points in an Ascendancy, or we have fewer. Like, who knows what they're doing, but I think they're going to offer a lot of different ways for us to sort of engage in the Ascendancy system. And this kind of ties in, I guess, I've put these points together. I think in the reveal, we're going to see an Ascendancy for all of the we're going to get a glimpse. We might not get a breakdown, but I think we're going to get a glimpse of every one of the Ascendancies that's going to be available in terms of the one Ascendancy each for the base classes that are going to be in the early access period at launch. And then I think we're also going to get a glimpse of the classes that we are yet to see.
Oh, and you're going in now. You're cooked,
yeah,
dude. You were cooking before, but now you're cooked.
Because, right, they're probably 80% with most of them, right? And they're just polishing at this point. And so I think, and we've already seen from the trailer. It was the third PoE2 trailer that we saw, where they showed 1 second, essentially 2 seconds of each of the classes. So I think we're going to see a bit of, and I think they're going to try and show us the gameplay style that they're trying to go for. So we're just going to get a quick glimpse. So we might see a bit of a marauder raging and berserking with some axe throwing skills. I think we're going to see some parrying. Akin to the shield block stuff that we've seen, but I think the duelist is going to be a lot of parrying mechanics of counter-attacking, like timed counter-attacks. And then I think for the shadow, we'll see a glimpse of stealth gameplay and some kind of stealth thing that they've worked out.
You forgot the long neck man.
Well, of course, but the thing is, I think the Templar, we will see something from them, but I think we know what that archetype might feel like. It's like shield, flail, whereas the others I think are gonna have very unique play styles. So yeah,
that is your boldest prediction by far. I don't know your other predictions, Sylver, but that is your boldest prediction so far. If that happens, I will lose my mind. I don't know what I can bet right now. I know I'm already giving you one of my most valuable currency orbs. I think it's a divine orb, the first I get in PoE2, whatever is the most valuable, except a mirror. Yes. Man, Sylver, if a mirror drops, I don't know if I can make good on my promise to give you the most valuable.
A friend wouldn't do that to another friend, I would never do that to you.
Here, I'll bet right now, if that does happen, I will give you my first 5 most valuable currencies. I will 5x the reward that I'm already giving you. I'll just be poor. It's fine.
What if we see all of the
all the Ascendancy classes, and if we see all the other, even 1 second more, dude. Even if they do another trailer where it's like Templar 1 second, Shadow 1 second.
Yeah.
I will 5x the reward. I am that confident it won't happen. Okay.
Yeah. So wait there. The Ascendancies. I'm not saying we'll see every Ascendancy. I'm saying we'll see one Ascendancy for all of the classes.
Yep. Totally.
Yeah.
I bet 5x divine orbs, whatever, exalted orbs if they're the new best currency again, I'm putting it on the table. I'd be so happy to give you my 5 most valuable currency items.
Okay, what's going to be your thing that makes me have to make a bet like this for you then? What's the next wild prediction you've got coming up?
For once, Sylver, I am a bit more grounded. So I don't think it will be this next one. I want to stick to the Ascendancy line because I did have a prediction on those. Maybe my 3rd prediction, or maybe one of my crackpot extra predictions that we can mash in at the end. But my 2nd prediction also has to do with Ascendancies. I'm going a little bit less ambitious than you. I think we are going to see only 2 Ascendancies during the reveal, but we are going to get a full breakdown of the 2 Ascendancies. They are going to deep dive. I'm thinking like 15 minutes. They're going to go into the trees. I do think they're going to be more complex than we think they're going to be with duo, triple nodes. Maybe when you said 30 points to spend, oh, my head exploded. Dude, if they do something as wild as that, I will. That's cool. That's super cool. I think they're going to do a deep dive on 2. And I'm going to go even a step further. I think they're going to deep dive on the Ranger and the Warrior Ascendancies, and then leave the other 4 completely in the dark for launch day.
Okay.
I think that they're just not going to talk about the
melee
witch.
and ranged.
Melee
you want to
range.
just show off a bit of
And if they want to go for the trifecta, maybe they throw in the sorceress. But I think they're just going to do melee ranged, overview them, dive in, and then the other 4, they're not going to say Licon, and we're going to just explore them on early access day. And I got a triple.
Okay.
The Ranger is the Arcane Archer.
Right.
And I had an idea while I was dreaming last night. Somehow, the Arcane Archer is going to allow you to shoot or imbue your arrows with spells in Path of Exile 2. I don't know how this could work or be balanced, but it's going to somehow not allow you to like channel all those spells that are like on staves, right? Like how Fireball is attached to a 2-handed staff and everything in PoE2 or Firebolt.
Yeah.
It's going to allow you to put that on your bows somehow, and it's going to be wicked. Boom.
Dude, that makes so much sense. Like, Fireball, you're allowed to use your bow stats as like some sort of increased spell damage or Yeah, your bow stats affecting your spells.
Yes.
I think that makes so much sense, dude. And that's so cool.
And
that's
giving
so cool.
you access to all those spells that are locked to caster weapons, because something some people might not realize is that a lot of the base spells, like almost the auto-ish spells, like Spark, right? It's not a gem. It's on a staff, right? So you won't be able to access. You can usually use any spell with any weapon. Well, except for those implicits on staves. What if then you could enchant your bow with it? I think that's what they're gonna do. I think it's gonna be really cool.
That's cool.
So
that's cool.
That's
I love
my
it.
number 2, dude.
Yeah.
But it's not too wild.
Yeah, okay, so we're saying Arcane, you think Arcane Archer, I'm guessing whatever the Earthshaker, codename Earthshaker ends up being for the Warrior?
I don't know if they're gonna do like an like a slammy based one, or maybe they'll really lean into like the defensive, not a juggernaut, but
Big
like
boy.
a sword and board, a mason shield type archetype, and save. Maybe the Earthshaker hasn't cooked long enough. I feel like it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be the Earthshaker. That's what my hunch. I think the Arcane Archer is ready. I don't think the Earthshaker is ready for some reason. I have nothing to base this on. Besides my intuition.
That's the point of this video.
That's very true. Thank you. All right, Sylver.
Okay.
Your third and final big prediction. What is it?
All right. Okay. So this one I think I'm gonna steal from under you, right? Which is I think you've probably got this somewhere on your list as well, and that is. So we've just got the teaser, a very lovely teaser trailer for teaser, a bit more than a teaser for the upcoming live stream on Thursday. And I think it seems pretty obvious now to me that we might be in. I'm almost scared to say it, Okay, I'm scared to say it because I don't want to get too excited. However,
money's already spent. Don't worry.
Yeah, at the very end of the trailer, obviously, we saw a CG rendering of the hooded one. And it ended the trailer and it was ominous and it was like, okay. Now, I can't imagine that they've made that just for a teaser trailer to announce a live stream, right? So there's one or two branches of, like objective sort of thinking here. One is they've done that because they're doing marketing material. However, this is early access, and I don't imagine they're going to do a giant marketing campaign with CG, like funded CG cinematics, just for marketing at this stage. If it was the launch of the game, that might be different. So what does that leave us with? Well, it obviously leaves us with the fact that we may be getting CG cinematics inside the game. And that is going to be my final big prediction, is that we are going to be getting fully rendered, beautiful, Diablo level, and I'd say what you want about Diablo, but Diablo they are goated at their cinematics, and we're going to be getting that for PoE, finally. Jonathan, for a very long time, has said this is the game they've always wanted to make. This is, PoE 1 was, it was like a a way of incubating everything that they've wanted to do, but they couldn't, didn't have the resources and the expertise. And I think one of those things, as people that clearly played, a lot of D2, they obviously are very aware that it would be amazing to have cinematics in the game. So, that being said, it seems only right that they would do it for PoE 2. And I think on the live stream, we are going to open it up with a cinematic for PoE 2. That's my prediction.
That would be incredibly hype, and I think you touch on a vital grinding gear games classic: asset reuse. There's no way that they just designed cinematics for the trailers. They're reusing it from in the game. Now, here's the question though, Sylver. Is this an every act thing? Are we going to get an intro cinematic to Path of Exile 2? And then an outro or into the end game? Or is this going to be like sporadic? Like, the classic, oh no, Kitava is breaking out of the statue. Oh, wait, the cinematic's over? Are there any more? I don't know. Maybe.
I think we're going to get both. I think we're going to get in-game. So we're going to get in-game cinematics like we saw with the Countess scene. It's like...
Ooh.
And I think so around bosses and key narrative events, we're going to get some in-game cinematic stuff. And I think that we will get huge story beat CG cinematics. Like, yes, maybe a prelude, like an intro. Probably between acts, I think makes most sense, just like D2 did it. I think the between acts thing is like a really good way of doing it, because you defeat a boss, an act boss is a big deal, and then it's like, where am I going? And instead of just going to town and an NPC saying, hey, we need to get to the Visteri Plains, like we need to get to, chase the Faradon, it's like showing the seed of corruption, the Countess escaping with, the seed of corruption, and the Count sort of like being dead on the floor. We're gonna get this like weaving between the scenes and between the acts. That's my prediction. Yeah. What about you? What do you think?
I tend to agree with the in-game cinematics, or I tend to disagree with those.
Oh, okay.
I think that between acts would be perfect. It's so good for a game in which people blast through the story and then don't know what's going on. If they can distill the events of an act into a 30 to 1 minute, 30 second to 1 minute cinematic, that'll do wonders for people actually getting engrossed in the world, because it's really good. I really enjoy the story of Path of Exile, and I think I will Path of Exile 2 as well. They've been working on it for quite some time. I bet it's high quality, but the fact is some people won't listen to the dialogue, they won't read the lore on the items, but they will watch a badass, oops, I swore, cinematic in-game. This is a really great way to capture those folks who aren't going to pay attention to the story otherwise. As for in-game, I think they're good, and I thought before seeing 2 instances now of CGI cinematics, that's what we would get between acts, just rendered in-game cutscenes. But I think for a game like Path of Exile, it almost takes you out of the game if suddenly you have control of your character and then you flash into an in-game cinematic. Unless they can smooth out that transition very well, I just think it's a bit too janky. I don't like it in Diablo 4. I haven't liked it in any games wherein you lose control of your character during a gameplay sequence. A lot of single-player games do that, I know. So that's just a personal preference. But I know that's definitely a possibility. But then something like Path of Exile, where you want to flow, you're constantly in that flow state as you're moving from zone to zone, from pack to pack, from pack to final boss. You don't want... I don't think they ever want you to lose control of your character. So
you know what, dude? As you say that, like you're convincing me, because that was actually a big thing that I really disliked about D4. And I think for me, it's as simple as it's immersion breaking. It kind of like the whole relationship we have in these isometric games with the character is like, it's very fixed. And so because it's fixed and you're always looking in the same aspect, you can kind of like, you can suspend disbelief for a second. Whereas as soon as that camera rotates or something, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm playing a game and here's my little puppet, But the thing I was thinking, this is a little bit of like spoilers if anyone's been avoiding the
thank you for saying that,
the
dude.
article.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, the Act 3 sort of story progression, we learned in the PC Gamer article that there's a period after you fight, when you come back from going back in time, you come back and then you have to drain a lake, right? You drain the lake that we saw in the Ziggurat encampment all the way back in 2023 at some of the gameplay footage. And I think stuff like that is the only time that I could imagine where it wouldn't feel really janky, where it's like you're in town and they want to show off like you know, they zoom the camera out and you see a lake being drained and it opens up an area of the map. That's the only stuff where I feel like, okay, for a second, I just want to change the camera angle. And the reason I say that is because the one time I think it worked really well in D4 was not really an in-game cinematic, but where you could go to these viewing points and you could like click on the thing and it would like, you know, the camera would change behind your camera and you see the environment.
Yep.
Stuff like that. So yeah, I do actually really take your point. I agree with you as well. Like I concede that massively.
Vistas would work. It's like in Guild Wars 2. I don't know if this is another MMOs where you click something and then you get a predetermined path through the environment. Seeing something like what happened in the EXILECON 2023 trailer number 3, where it zooms into the prison where the prisoner is kept. That shot. Something like that as you're transitioning between areas. That'd be very cool. I totally agree with you. I like that.
Or to set up a boss arena, right? Like to give some scope. I suppose kind of like we do with, what's the name of the boss? It's one of the like conqueror, like it's one of the conquerors where you go up the stairs and the camera angle. It's like one of the only times in the game. Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
I like that.
Little
as well.
things like that.
Or, like, it's not necessarily a cinematic, but is it Sailor's Folly in Settlers of Kalgur, where you're super zoomed out when you first load into the beach area? Your camera, the admiral that you fight, the pirate. Yeah, that's beautiful too. Yeah, and you zoom in as you walk up to the boss arena.
Yeah. But
Epoch does that too with Aberoth, wherein it's like almost detached a little bit, and you get to see all the void around you. Yeah, so stuff like that I think would work.
To your point, that's not an in-game cinematic. You've still got control of your character, and it's just they're just curating the camera. And I think it works better to keep control. You're right. Because just as an example of that, look at the Executioner fight. They've still managed to create quite a dramatic set piece where if you run up, you can see this whole little act happening. But it's not like the camera's fixed and your character disappears. Do you know what I mean? So I think you're right.
More spoilers for Act 2 ending now, I think. That scene in the teaser where the perennial king cuts off the seed or the beast from the caravan. Oh my god. That better not be a debate. That better be in game grinding your games or I will lose my mind. That was the 100%. Coolest moment, hands down. And I was in that freaking teaser. That was the coolest moment, okay? Like, the music peaked and he just freaking chops it. Oh, there's tentacles flying everywhere. Oh, what a moment. I hope we get to see that in game. Like, don't bait us. More. Don't bait us. All right. My third prediction. It's actually a pretty simple one, man.
Okay.
Maybe you won't think it's real. And a lot of people here may think I'm cracked because of this prediction. Okay. Prediction number 3. I think grinding gear games, given delay after delay, some of them seemingly not due to the actual gameplay content, or the content like Endgame or classes. I think it's mostly technical. I think that they have been able to progress very far in Path of Exile 2. And they might be confident, not in giving a release date for 1.0, but saying November 2025, ExileCon 3. Boom. And we all know what happens at ExileCons. They reveal the next era. This is going to be when they reveal, okay, launch of Path of Exile 2, here's what to expect. Here's Path of Exile 1.4.0. Grinding Gear Games is going to live on forevermore. Here we are, baby. And I think they're gonna close out the stream with that, saying, oh, and by the way, we're holding another ExileCon in New Zealand. No reason for it. Just, buy your tickets now alongside your shiny new supporter packs. Go for it.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be it.
Dude, it's funny because I put that on my list. That was gonna be the next thing that I was gonna just an extra. I was like, we are gonna get ExileCon 2025 announcement for sure. Yeah. I really, really think that is the move, because you can imagine, okay, so we have this early access period. I think they'll just say like late, like late 2025 or whatever, to give themselves some flexibility for how early access goes, how much work they think is needed. But then, yeah, essentially EA will be sort of drawing to a close. The polish should be there. All the content should be there by the time we get into later next year. And then they're like, hey, come on down. We're gonna hard. And I think they will then hard launch PoE 2 the weekend of ExileCon. Like, yeah,
That's correct. That's cooked. I was gonna say it's gonna be 1 year from the 6th, whatever that Friday is.
Yeah, maybe.
Like 1 year anniversary.
Maybe.
I think we're on the same wavelength, dude. If it doesn't happen, people can make fun of us both. That's totally fine. Come back to this video, view it. You know, my predictions for ExileCon 2023 were completely ridiculous. And before we actually close out the video, Sylver, did you have any like last minute extras that you wanted to add to the batch? Because I had one. I had one that I didn't think I made the top 3, but I wanted to mention.
Okay, you go for it, and then if anything comes up, I'll let you know.
All right, I have this last one, and I don't think it's really confirmed or expected. I hope they will do some sort of timeline for early access. Lots of people in the community, myself included, have been talking about the 3-month league cycle, and Grinding Gear Games used to be on a very firm schedule, and people loved that about GGG.
Yeah.
I think if they included a timeline of early access saying, hey, here's when we think we're going to add Act 4, Act 5, and, this class, like the Druid or the Huntress, I think people would once again go bananas for something that simple. I know that they don't want to hold themselves to anything in case something does pop up, but I do think some sort of overview of the next 6 months or year, where they see the game going, would be beautiful.
Yeah, I think we will. I agree. There's a demand for it. There's a hope for it for a lot of us, and I think also it's likely to happen. I think actually mainly to satiate. I don't think it will be as PoE 2 focused. I think it's mainly to satiate the PoE 1 crowd that are feeling very concerned and a little bit dejected. I think and I can understand that if people aren't super hyped for PoE 2, like me and you, who are just fully on the PoE 2 train. But yeah, I think there's a large part of the community, or certainly a significant part, that are like, can you just let me know like what your plans are for like PoE 1? Because it's going to be 6 months basically since we had a last major update by the time we get to 3.2.6. So, and I think we'll get. Yeah, I think Mark will do a good job of kind of like addressing that, hopefully, and I think that will be included in this. So yeah, I think that makes sense. I've got one thing that I think is like a bit of a weird, small curveball sort of thing that I've thought about for a while, which is, and I'm really curious actually what people think of this, what the demand is for it like out there, because I personally think there is a massive untapped opportunity with unique maps. And this is just like, it's such a niche thing, but I think I would love to see that like unique maps get like a ton of environment work and narrative work, and essentially become opportunities to have slightly longer form content. Maybe they, say a map takes 10 minutes. These maps might take 25 minutes or something, right? And they're like these longer form contents with narrative, and they kind of function, I guess, like kind of how Einhar Memories, sorry, not Einhar Memories, Atlas Memories or whatever, right?
Atlas Memories?
Yeah, I'm thinking because like the Einhar one's so popular.
Yeah.
But yeah, Atlas Memories work in PoE 1, where they essentially are opportunities for the team to tell us little bits of lore in these contained, curated, sort of like map content experiences. So that is just something that I think we might get. I don't think I'm not even sure if it'll be in this talk, but I think it's something that, I really hope we get in PoE 2 at some point. And maybe there's a nod to it, I don't know.
I think that would be phenomenal, and I've long cooked in the back of my head the idea that instead of completely foregoing League content, if it doesn't work out in the core game, it could be added as a unique map in some way. One great
Yeah.
example, gone right now, Scourged maps. I don't know if people remember those. Those were very, very cool, and they're gone from Path of Exile 1 right now, wherein you could basically put a whole bunch of negative mods on yourself when you transform to the Scourge realm and everything. If that was kept in Path of Exile 1 as a unique map, like you said, to retell the story of Scourge League and the last to die, oh man, that'd be great.
Oh,
That would be great.
Okay, feel free to cut this if this is going too long, right? But I think me and you both feel that the Beyond has a lot of potential within PoE 2, and I completely agree with you, dude. I think because D4 kind of dropped the ball on like going to hell, I'm like, screw it, man. PoE, take that baton and run with it. Take the opportunity to just. What if, like Delve, you know, they're like, okay, so we've got Delve as an endgame content. We've got different forms of like verticals that we can go into for endgame. Like, what if one of them was beyond diving, like where especially if we're not going to be getting like otherworldly portals potentially with what you were saying about traveling the real world, and where the beast comes from and all the lore around that. There's like it's skirting around potentially something beyond related, and I think. Okay, what if we get an opportunity to go to the other world, but actually it's just the Beyond realm, and we're going in and we're like, you know, there's a new kind of like gameplay opportunity there. That's wild, I know, but
Act 6, the nightmare cometh to Rayclast. I'm so confident it's literally just gonna be hell on Rayclast in Act 6.
love it.
They're kind of mimicking Diablo 2, right? I feel like they're just making a better Diablo 2 successor that they always imagined. And like you said, sorry everyone, D4 did drop the ball on going to hell. That little bit you were in hell, awesome, but then you never go back. What the heck is that? What's going on? I think they could capitalize that with Beyond, and with their very wacky monster design. We've seen a lot of early access monsters. We've also seen a lot of Art of Monsters that probably aren't in the first 3 acts of Path of Exile 2. They are going just weird and almost Lovecraftian with some of these monsters. Yeah. And the demons of PoE are Lovecraftian. They're very weird. So I think it's a very good possibility, Sylver. I think you're onto something, dude. Do you have any other wacky predictions like that to close us out?
No, I'm gonna leave that to I'll leave that to the comments, to everyone watching. Throw in your weird and wonderful things. I've got it started off, so don't be embarrassed because that was a ridiculous idea. So yeah, let us know.
Heck yeah. Well, Sylver, as always, it has been an absolute pleasure. Give yourself a shout out on your socials, your YouTube, whatever, before we close out the vid.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, always love chatting. So yeah, my name is Sylver XYZ. You can find me on YouTube and Twitch as well.
He's a workaholic and he makes great content. Always great to chat with, man. Everyone watching, all you exiles, thank you so much for watching the full video. Like it if you really ended up enjoying it, and make sure to subscribe to both Sylver XYZ and my channel. I will see you in the next one. Tala Kura.